What's up everybody, Shadow Ninja here, and welcome back to Rage Quit. Today is going to be a little bit different because this video is going to be the first scripted review I've made in a while. Simply because of the fact this review has so much stuff in it, I'll probably wind up leaving some of the stuff out if I just talk off the top of my head. But judging by the title and the thumbnail, you guys guessed it, we're reviewing Respawn's newest Star Wars game called Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Now, if you guys remember all the way back, we made a bunch of videos on the channel brainstorming over this game, from predictions, speculations, reactions, to looking at straight up gameplay. Things were looking really good so far for Fallen Order. And to be honest, it's exactly what I wanted from this game. Fallen Order is so fun because not only is it a faithful creation driven straight from different pieces of Star Wars lore and canon, but it also borrows some other game mechanics from other franchises and makes it a very familiar but unique experience. So let's get started with the story and see what Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is all about. In the campaign, the current period of time is 5 years after Revenge of the Sith, and you play as Kestis, a former Jedi who has survived Order 66 and has retreated into exile on a junker planet, trying to live a life outside of the Empire's reach. Cal has completely cut himself off from the Force and has practically forgotten all of his Force abilities. We saw this in The Last Jedi with Luke Skywalker. Events transpire in the beginning of the campaign that literally forces him to reveal his Jedi identity in front of the Empire, which ensues a journey that I personally couldn't get enough of. Cal as a character, in my opinion, is such a likable and believable Jedi in the Star Wars universe. He struggles with the loss of not only his master, but his Force abilities that you have to basically crawl to get back. He struggles with the dark side, gets his ass kicked a lot at first, forcing him to constantly adapt and learn new abilities. We saw him in the demo, but Cal also has a droid companion named BD-1, which helps him throughout his story, and on top of this he has two more base companions. Cere, a former Jedi Master herself who also survived Order 66, cut herself off from the Force the same way that Cal did, and Grease, Cere's four-armed friend who pilots the ship's hub area, the Mantis. The story is so expansive, takes you to many Star Wars worlds, some known and unknown to us currently. The characters develop smoothly, there's a great chunk of lore that ties it all together, and there are so many twists and surprises the fans of the original trilogy, the prequels, and the Force Unleashed series will adore. The campaign is an absolute gem in my opinion, and it is not a short experience by any means, because each planet that Cal and his friends go to will sit you a couple hours of gameplay if you stop for all the collectibles and explore the worlds. Respawn did an amazing job with the story, the characters are fun, voice acting is top notch, and what happens in the campaign is just interesting and kept me wanting to keep playing. As far as the actual engine, the game is still pretty tough looking graphics wise. It seems like the devs made no extra efforts to improve the graphics after they released their initial demo at EA Play. Some facial animations, character models, as well as other details become blurry, faded, or occasionally just straight up unrendered, which may be because of the performance issues I just mentioned. Especially when you get to Kashyyyk, the Wookiees look pretty bad. It's really not that big of a deal because you don't see many of them, and to be honest, it's only one planet, but when you do see them, they are not easy on the eyes. But as far as the landscapes, planets, and scenery go, this is where the game is at its best. Imperial character models, details of specific environments, different creatures, those graphics are awesome looking. But the facial characters and the Wookiees aren't really the best, and I understand that not every game can look as good as Star Wars Battlefront 2, but I'm hoping that they fix the frame rate, tweak the faces so they're not so plastered looking, and maybe give the weird looking Wookiees a makeover. But speaking of the maps and the environments, let's talk about them next. Throughout the game, you can fast travel to various planets completely filled with collectibles, secret passageways, and enemies strewn throughout a massive map with multiple layers. If you have maps that are so extensive that you can get lost for up to a half hour like I did, you know you have a solid map system. I won't spoil exactly where you go, but some of them are fan favorites, and they're so nostalgic to the material they were in. Every planet feels so different and has its own feel to it. Of course, you get a map to navigate through them, like a little mini-map that BD-1 gives you, and in my opinion, it's a little messy, but it's not hard to get used to. Once you start memorizing the maps and playing through with new abilities to make transportation that much easier, you'll be flying through these worlds. And on that note, let's hop into the gameplay, because even though the graphics aren't the greatest and the maps are awesome but can get confusing, the game shines with its combat. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order has a very Dark Souls-y style of combat. There is blocking, parrying, stamina, rolling, dodging, locking onto enemies, and because of this, the game feels like Dark Souls mixed in with Tomb Raider and a little bit of The Force Unleashed. When fighting enemies and using force abilities, you get that hack and slasher feel. Cutting bugs in half, chopping off the limbs of K2 units, and running through stormtroopers just feels like how it should. And on top of this, there are many upgrades you can attain throughout the game, some of which are locked behind the story. As said before, Cal must remember all of his Jedi abilities since he cut himself off from the Force. Acquiring these makes fighting enemies so much easier. From saber tossing to unlocking unique combos, the game does a great job at pacing you with skill points and story-based unlocks, so it doesn't make you feel unstoppable until you've unlocked most abilities, and there is a clear difference between where you were and where you will get to. On top of all this, there are many unique enemies to fight in the game. In each area of each planet, you'll seem to fight a different enemy type everywhere you go, and sometimes, depending on the enemy types, they'll fight each other. Creatures and stormtroopers will attack each other just as they did in The Force Unleashed, and it is so cool to see that feature has been implemented in this game. Not only will you fight cannon fodder enemies like stormtroopers and rats, you'll also run into some higher end enemies like purge troopers, large spiders, bounty hunter sub-bosses. That itself is so badass that it's just what I wanted, and more that I will not spoil for you. And lastly, the boss fights are so cool. They're not as difficult as the Souls games, but from Inquisitors to large creatures, every boss fight feels unique and satisfying. When you defeat them, they will test your abilities with adapting movesets and different abilities. Aside from the combat, the game is filled with meditation spots. They kind of work like bonfires from Dark Souls. When you meditate and rest at these checkpoints, all of your health, force meter, and health stims regenerate, and all the enemies spawn back as well. And just like the Souls games, you get an Estus mechanic where BD gives you a stim to heal you, and if you die, you will lose any XP you've gained since the last checkpoint. The enemy that killed you will be highlighted in yellow, so when you respawn, you simply have to do damage to that enemy to get your points back. But as far as the gameplay goes, it's pretty solid and it's got a good structure. Aside from combat, collectibles, and secrets that lead to customization, the game also sneaks in little Tomb Raider style puzzles to unlock new areas. To be honest, they kinda get annoying and I didn't enjoy them that much, but that's just me personally. Honestly, rolling around a ball with the Force and fitting them into sockets to reveal a different part of only one puzzle isn't really my definition of fun, but BD1 definitely helps with that. This droid is very essential to gameplay, as he can hack enemy droids, open new areas with his scomp link, and he can do much more with his own set of unlockable abilities you can find at workbenches spread throughout each planet. As far as the customization goes, it's expansive as well. Not only can you customize what Cal, BD1, and the Mantis look like, you can intricately customize each part of Cal's lightsaber, which is arguably the best part about the game. This feature exceeds the PS2 version of the first Force Unleashed, because in that game, you found different lightsaber pieces and crystals which you could assemble on the ship hub. In Fallen Order, you can do the exact same thing. Throughout different workbenches on World or in the Mantis, you can customize your lightsaber any way you want. From the different pieces to the material, all the way down to the color of the saber. The lightsaber customization is really the best thing you can't control, because no two people's lightsabers will look the same, as the game gives you tons of parts you can unlock through the worlds. So, to end this review, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is a fantastic Star Wars game in my opinion, and I hope this changes EA's opinion about single-player based games, because I have heard nothing but great things from other reviewers, and I myself am having a blast playing through this new story. The campaign is phenomenal, and it never got boring for me. The different worlds you can go to are filled with collectibles, enemy types, and they each have their own feel to them. The combat is realistic, satisfying, and has a touch of Dark Souls with the Force Unleashed, and the game paces you with traversal and combat upgrades that make you feel like a Jedi. Even though it may have some performance and graphical issues here and there, the game is great and I recommend it to anyone who is a Star Wars fan. My rating for this game is very high, as it is a solid 9 out of 10. Great job, Respawn. Thank you guys for watching this review. If you liked what I had to say, press the thumbs up and make it blue, and let me know what you guys think about Fallen Order in the comments below. If you're new, please consider subscribing to the RageQuit channel and pressing that bell on the side so you never miss a single upload. Thank you all for watching again, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.